Good morning, good morning. What's going on, everyone? So it's 6:36 a.m. Market opened about 6 minutes ago. I'm going to start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that I see. Yeah, it's showing offline, but yeah. All right, let's do this. Here we go. And it looks like we have a little bit of a slight pullback with ticker symbol X. If you could see that the overall resistance has been pretty solid at around $35 even during pre-market hours. Can you guys see this? All this, it really did struggle. I don't know if it ever even did break. It looks like it did barely break above 35 right as the market opened. But even at that, had a pullback. It's most likely going to try to hold above 34.50 based off previous patterns. Let's see. Yep. I mean, there it goes. It tried to push up, which was like nice, but again, it's having a pretty decent sell-off. So it's trying to show this ascending uptrend pattern. Let's just keep a very close eye. I have my alert set here. I have my alert set actually like at 35.10. It looks like we just broke below 34.50. I'm going to set my alert for the break above just 35 flat, just so I could be alerted when it starts to actively trend up. But intraday, I mean, where it's at right now, we should see some form of consolidation right around the 1 day, 1 minute chart, right around where the SMA indicator should be. This might be viewed if it bounces. Just keep a close eye out for this. If it bounces, then from where it's at right now to $35, which is the overall resistance, it's about 1.62%. And there we go. We have a nice little bounce. It's not a huge amount. But if it really gets going and then it continues to not only just stop at 35, but it makes highs of day, then I feel like the opportunity cost there can be worth it. Let's keep a very close eye for this MACD indicator. Right now, it's not signaling a reversal, and what I mean by that is, do you see that these bars continue to get bigger and bigger? We actually want them to peak and then to start getting smaller and smaller and start showing signs of like a reversal, right? But as of now, we're not seeing that. We're actually seeing more of a decent sell-off. So let's go ahead and I'll just set my alert for maybe when we get a little bit more of a breakup, and then we could follow up with it. So what is everyone checking out today? So what's up? Monday is green. Yeah, so it's going, right? Let's catch up with like kind of the basics for right now. JNUG is down, which is kind of very surprising. So if we look at /GC, where's it at? Where's it at? Here we go. /GC based on the close. I thought it was at like 1330 when it closed like last Friday, but no. I mean, add that push up and then yeah, I thought it opened higher than it ended up closing at, but the overall market conditions, like, it's in favor of JDST at the moment. And looking at JDST and how it's currently performing, I mean, I definitely do find that pattern to be much more attractive. So I think I actually accidentally removed JDST from my watch list. Wow. Looks like X is picking up a little bit. That's good. But very quickly, so let's talk about the overall pattern for JDST right now. It's actually following this, like, Sergio, if you want to see this. Oh, do you see it? Yeah. So this upward staircase pattern. So let me move this real quick. You can see that the overall support at $50, overall resistance at around 60. Keep a very close eye out for this resistance with this SMA indicator. And do you see how it's showing this upward staircase pattern? It just validated that, as in like it actually bounced and pushed up above $54. We want to make sure that it continues to hold above $54, and then the overall resistance right around that SMA indicator offers anywhere about like a little bit over 5% potential for profit. So I think as long as this pattern continues, then that would be in favor of JDST. Let's look at how it's performing intraday. So it's definitely a little bit overextended intraday, so it's pushing right around $55. It does look like it has a little bit of room for a potential pullback and then bounce for it to continue its uptrend pattern. But how do you know when something is actively trending up? Again, very simple. Middle VWAP and top VWAP patterns. You can see that it's just staying in between those two tickers themselves, or that margin itself. So I think that's very attractive for something like JDST right now. And let's keep a very close eye for when this thing does continue to push up, and if it does end up getting rejected by this SMA indicator. So if we do get a rejection confirmation, right? So if we get like a big red candle or something confirming that it's actually reversing, then we can move our attention quickly on over to something like JNUG or NUGT, which are bull ETFs, right? So we could see that what's it called? JNUG is, again, with this descending resistance, is showing signs of a potential resistance or rejection as well, and then with the overall support at around $13. Looking at forward slash GC, let's see how that one's currently trading. Why am I don't know, it's just not working very well right now, but again, and also keep a very close eye out for the descending pattern when it comes down to forward slash GC. There is a lot of consolidation that's building on this SMA indicator, so one of two things might happen. There might be a break of pattern, as in it won't be showing this descending pattern anymore. It'll start to actively trend up, or it will completely break below the support where the SMA indicator is at, which will be in favor of JDST, for that to continue to push up, make new highs, and then forward slash GC and something like JNUG to actually push a little bit further down. So breaking that what's it called, $13 support for something like JNUG. So I want to hear what you guys have to say real quick. Okay, Ricky, good morning. What's going on, guys? Good morning. Good morning. Can you guys all see my yeah, so this is actually supposed to be for the private group. I don't know yeah, but let's see. All right, second. I'm going to spend about probably, I want to do 3 more minutes of me just breaking down some tickers that I saw value in intraday, and then we can go and start breaking down stocks that you guys see value in real quick. Looks like JNUG might be having a slight reversal intraday, and that's actually what I wanted to see, like a little bit closer intraday. We could see that forward slash GC was showing signs of an uptrend pattern. It got rejected by the overall resistance at 1338. It's bouncing right around the middle VWAP, which should be in favor of JNUG. And if this pattern continues, then you should see JNUG to continue to rise as well based off previous patterns. So we could see ticker symbol X, again, doing a lot of consolidation, had that dip buy potential. It's right around the EMA and the middle VWAP. Again, right now it's kind of iffy, right? So it has the potential, if it holds above the middle VWAP, then to start trading between the middle and top VWAP, which is something that we want to see. But there's just a lot of consolidation that's going on. So we need to make sure that we break above 34.8. MDR, why was this one in my watch list? Okay, so this one was for a potential reversal, which it does not have just yet. If I'm not mistaken, Gush is up today. Yep. So I did see it. So Gush is now starting to actively trend up. Again, how do we know when Gush was actively trending down? Why were we trading drip? Well, Gush was actually trading in between the middle VWAP and bottom VWAP, right? Do you see how there's a shift of pattern now? Now we're seeing this cup formation with this SMA indicator. Also, if we go on the 180-day chart, there's this ascending uptrend pattern, and it did have the sell-off in it, and at that sell-off, it's right around the support. So now it looks like it's trying to approach that $24 resistance once again, and being a little bit sub $23, that gives us like a dollar margin of profit. So that's something that you guys can take into consideration if you see value in this one, if you understand that pattern from the ascending uptrend pattern leading up to that overall resistance, right? So ascending uptrend pattern leading to the overall resistance of $24. So for anywhere from around $23 to $24, offering a little bit under 5% margin of profit, that could be something that could be very attractive. The SMA indicator no longer looking like it's acting as a resistance. We actually are breaking above. So now if we can act as a support, I think that could also be very attractive as well. And something that will almost signal as we have a little bit more support for Gush to actually start trending up as well. I want to see how this one's performing. Yep, so it's showing very similar patterns, pushed up, pulled back. It's trying to hold up above the SMA indicator, but it's kind of iffy right now. No real confirmation just yet. I'm just going to set my alert right here. Yeah, let's do that. Perfect. And then drip is actively now trending down. Yep, so it's showing more of a peak formation, showing more of a downward pattern. 180-day chart, yeah, more of a descending pattern. So hope that makes sense. Nope, nothing there. JDST, ascending uptrend pattern, up on the day. Keep a close eye. Again, got rejected by $55. It pulled back, and as long as it continues to hold, again, middle VWAP and top VWAP. Do you guys see this? It bounces, validates that. pushes up, just keep a very close eye that the EMA continues to point up, and that the middle view object continues to show signs of an uptrend pattern that continues to trade within this margin. So just be on the alert for /GC, as if it does end up continuing to increase, then that would be in favor of JNUG. So, and then not a lot of movement there. So, yeah, a lot of consolidation going on right now for ticker symbol X. So, and then if we look at ticker symbol X on the 180-day analysis, again, it's just that ascending uptrend pattern that we're trying to confirm, but we need that break above 35, and then hopefully, you know, based off previous patterns, not hopefully, but based off previous patterns, that it could continue the overall pattern of making new highs, which would mean exceeding $36 and then actually potentially hitting highs of like 37 or something like that. So the overall opportunity cost from like where it's at right now. So let's say not even where it's at right now, because right now it's sub $35. Let's say you can get in at around an average of 35 to around $37. I mean, the overall potential for profit isn't huge. It's about 5.71%, but based off of the previous pattern, it seems to be pretty consistent. And yeah, I mean, we'd like to see a nice little push up, and it looks like it's playing out pretty well as of now intraday. But again, we need to get that overall confirmation and the break above $35, as it's been really struggling to break above that pretty much all day. So. All right, now I'm going to start breaking down stocks for all of you guys that are part of the Learn Plan Profit Group. So just to make sure that it's just those that are part of the Learn Plan Profit Group, I want to make sure that all the stocks that are being called out have to be called out the same way that we have everything set up under the group alert section. Let's first, if we can dedicate at least for the first 10 minutes for people that actually have questions or concerns about the overall positions that they are taking that are actually somewhat iffy, if their stock that they're calling out is, you know, a good, decent stock, I'll quickly be able to determine that. For those that are a little bit more knowledgeable that know that they have a good pick, let's wait to the end so we can kind of like showcase that, and then everyone can, you know, write those down if we end up seeing value in it. So I hope that makes sense. Let's make sure that we cover the ones that are having issues first. Not that we're having issues, but like that might need a little bit more assistance, because I want to make sure that I assist you and give you my own 2 cents on that, and then we can go to the top quality picks and focus on those stocks after. So let's go ahead and see what the callouts are. So whenever you guys have time, feel free to share it. So PLT seems to be one that is being called out. So PLT, I could see low volume intraday, so that's not something that I find too attractive. Okay, so a pretty nice ascending uptrend pattern. It looks like it's trying to hold above the EMA. One thing that I've noticed is that if you guys could see every time that it touches the SMA indicator, that tends to be a better indication for a potential buy. And it hasn't pulled back, and you know, it's been a matter of time. Do you see like when it pushed up, it got rejected, and then it bounced here on the EMA, and then it got rejected? That kind of seems like that's the stage of where PLT is at right now. So I would actually like to wait for a little bit more of a sell-off. I think it makes a better buy when it's closer to the SMA indicator, because the margin of profit is actually worth it. Because if we can get from somewhere where the SMA indicator is at and it could make new highs, it could offer 10% plus potential for profit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set my alert here at the break below $56. So thank you for that call out. Oh, what's going on, Jason? Thank you again for joining us live. Have you looked at Tesla today? Yeah, I saw it was above 300 the last time that I saw it. Where is it at? I'll have to check up with it in a little bit. SSC. Okay, SSC, and this is by. Oh, I don't think that's your actual name. Okay, so it looks like it has low volume. Okay, it definitely does have low volume. Intraday, it is up. That's decent. So based off of the overall pattern that this is showing, so this is my opinion, and I don't feel like this is a very consistent. I feel like this is definitely more of a volatile stock. So because of the low volume, it could get easily manipulated with a huge rush of volume. So first of all, that's not something that I find very attractive. With that understanding, do you see this SMA line? It's showing signs of a cup formation, so it's under, which will act as a support. But the thing that I don't like about this one is that it's still pointing down, which means that I think that it does have potential. So SSC, I think it does have potential for it to start trending up, but I think it's going to take some time for it to, consolidate, bounce around the SMA, and it's almost going to if this is the SMA line, you have to think about how this is going to draw out, right? I think it's going to go down, go down, go down, and then it's going to slowly descend, descend, descend. Same with the overall pattern. It'll start to flatline, and then it'll start to push back up. I think there's more time that is going to be needed before it actually starts actively trending up, and that's why I don't personally like this one as of now too much. Real quick, I think ticker symbol X is actually pushing up intraday now. There we go. We just got rejected by that top view up. Let's see what happens in a little bit. But yeah, so right now I just don't think it's the best time as of now. That's just my opinion. RSPP. So RSPP looks like it had a huge rush of volume. I'm not too sure if that's why this is one that you're calling out. I don't like that. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it had a huge gap up. It's been descending ever since then. That's not something that I find very attractive. 180-day analysis, I could see why it might catch at around the SMA line, which is right around $40. Based off previous patterns, it tries to catch around the SMA line. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But overall, I mean, it looks like the pattern is pretty consistent. So and the SMA line is still actively pointing up. So as long as we take that into consideration, it's not even about catching it when it's at the SMA line, but it's catching it when it's near the SMA line and it's actively trending up when the EMA line is pointing up. So even if it surpasses, it did some consolidation here, it broke below it, it doesn't matter, right? But then when it consolidates, it pushes up and then the EMA line is pointing up and it's at the SMA line, that's the price point. Again, the EMA line is pointing up, we're near the SMA line, which indicates a good buy based off previous patterns, and then we can get in there, right? And then it has a lot more margin for profit. So that's when I would find RSPP to be actually much more attractive. What is that? Toka? Never heard of that. Okay, so overall support at around $11. So again, I think that this is a decent call out because it offers a horizontal pattern. So I'll draw the support line right around $11. I'll draw the resistance line right around $13. But one thing that you should be able to see is that it's still actively trending down, right? So right away you should see hey, I need to wait for confirmation. I need that EMA line to start pointing up. I need the candles to push up above the EMA. And it's that simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set my alert for the break above 1150, and we can get alerted when it does break above that. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, then it'll continue to descend, and we never actually took a position. So I think it's only going to be a matter of time because you can see the MACD indicator starting to potentially curve back in. RSI is indicating signs of it being oversold, and then we could see it start to consolidate a little bit more around $11. So I think that this should be in our favor. But again, patience is key, and confirmation is something that we definitely need to wait out for. So thank you for calling this one out. I think we talked about SPN already. I think we talked about it yesterday. Yeah, so it's not actively trending up. Support at $8, resistance at $10. It's still consolidating. I need that EMA line to start pointing up. I need it to actively start pushing up, and it's not there yet. So too much consolidation right around 850. Not enough price movement. So not something that I find very attractive. No. So Luke Carey, that's a good question. I get asked that actually a lot more often than I would think. But it says, Ricky, just curious, do you have long-term investments in huge companies such as Johnson & Johnson or Disney or any specific just to swing? I do not know, especially not right now because the market has been extremely volatile. It's not something that, when it comes down to overall larger investments, it tends to be more in real estate or in higher end cars, because I know that at least I can make money off of that because I understand that market and it's not as volatile, right, or as aggressive as I think the stock market can be, especially investing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. So PTLA. So it's actively trending down, so I appreciate again the call out. First of all, I don't like pharmaceutical companies. Second of all, it's a descending pattern. SMA and EMA are both pointing down. I do see some signs of consolidation right around $30, but trust me, it's just like, I mean, there was consolidation here before at $45 where it would flatline and then it would just continue to make lower lows. Like, I understand that this has potential. It does have potential for this thing to go from 30 to push up to 40, but the amount of times that a stock will actually do that and recover, I think is much less than it would. It would much more often continue to fall than it would recover. And because of that, I'm trying to just talk about overall patterns and why this one, like this descending pattern, would not be one that I would recommend, especially if you're just getting started, because of the risk that you take on by investing in these type of picks. I think there's much more quality picks that are actively trending up that I would find much more attractive, as in like top stocks that I would invest in. Yeah, as of now. So I would like to focus more on ascending uptrend patterns and horizontal patterns. You guys have seen that those are, patterns that I find very attractive, both in the Learn Plan Profit group and TechBud Solutions. I've talked about it in both groups, and I would just say, like, especially if you're looking for like your top quality pick, this would just not be something that I would want to take a position in, especially because it's descending both with the SMA and the EMA. So just not something I want to invest in realistically. Do you guys see this? Resistance at $35, EMA line is pointing up. It's almost showing signs of this like bull flag pattern, right? With the EMA line acting as a support, and then the overall resistance at $35. So remember that we talked about this in the course, and one of two things are going to happen. So this is one of the newer videos that I uploaded talking about bull flag and bear flag patterns. Sorry about that. And one of two things are going to happen. Do you guys mind if in the live chat section, if you guys talk about what can happen with these bull flag or bear flag patterns? What can happen? If someone wants to type it in real quick, I just want to make sure that you guys are actually thinking before I say something about like what's most likely going to happen. So. Huh? One more time. So it does have the, so it will either break the resistance or get rejected. Exactly. So do you see how the $35 is the resistance right now? I mean, it's happened multiple times, especially with something like JDST. So it can be a breakout or get rejected. So so this is like a critical point where, what the heck? CRS. Yeah, so it's kind of like a critical point on where you might want to, be on high alert as something starts to, what's it called? It could make new highs, or it could overall get rejected, and that's why you might want to cover profits if it gets rejected, and if X was at a higher price point where I was trying to sell, but it's not. So I just got an alert that CRS is actively pushing up. It just made new highs, so it just broke above $46. So I hope this alert can assist you guys. And yeah, the EMA line is pointing up. It's showing signs of an uptrend pattern. Keep a close eye out for the resistance right around this SMA line. And the overall resistance about like every dollar price point tends to be a pretty solid resistance. So yeah, X looks like, I thought it was actually going to push up. Do you see a lot? Look, do you see this EMA line? Now it's a lot of consolidation is happening right now. Resistance right around resistance right around $35. So that was great. I like how a lot of you guys were able to say that, okay, it's either gonna continue to trend above the middle view. I like that. Okay, I like that. Confirm the bounce. So yeah, it's definitely confirming the bounce right now, but again, it's consolidating quite a bit. So we want to make sure that it continues to push up. And this, like, it's not that effective right now because it's like a lot of you guys got in. If you guys got in, you guys maybe got in right around like 34.50. This would be much more like important to me, or much more of a critical price point if we were like at $36, because if I was at $36 and like I wanted to cover my position, I'm already up a decent amount that I'm just like, okay, it might get rejected at $36. So drip just broke below $12. But yeah, like it would be much more like important to me if we were at a price point where I was actually considering to sell, right, to cover profits, because if I was up a certain amount that I wanted to absolutely cover profits, then it would be much more important to me. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood that, because right now it looks like, again, all during pre-market hours, it's been really struggling to break above $35. And I mean, it was showing signs of a descending pattern all day on Friday. Today, it's doing a little bit of a better job trying to show signs of like this upward potential or really trying to push up. But guys, do you guys see this rejection? Like it's really struggling to break above $35. I don't know if it actually has. I don't think it has. It's starting to actively trend up, and that's not very good. I mean, that's not very good. So for all those that did buy around 34.50, you know, it wouldn't be a bad idea to potentially cover profits. But if you want to be a little bit riskier, then I guess you definitely don't, and you can wait for the break below the middle view up. It's up to you. But it's showing signs of a resistance around $35. I'm trying to be patient and seeing what happens, because overall, I mean, the $35. What was that? Forward slash. Oh, okay, it's forward slash C, so that's in favor of Gush. So Gush should be actively trending up. Gush just broke above 30. There it goes. Middle VWAP to top VWAP. There goes Gush. That's in favor of forward slash CL. Yep, there it goes. Starts to actively trend up. Let's take a little bit of a step back and look at the 20-day chart. Keep a very close eye out for the descending resistance. Do you guys see this? So descending resistance, so don't think that it's going to make higher highs. So again, $24 is still going to be the ideal sell point for Gush, in my opinion. But yeah, Gush is still definitely, I mean, we called that out when it was right around 20, a little bit sub $23, trading in between the middle VWAP, and it was definitely showing that overall pattern. So let's see if we can wait for a potential like pullback and bounce. But as of now, it looks like it's really actually going. So we might not get a pullback confirmation. It might just continue to go. But based on pre-market highs, there's a slight resistance right around 23.50. So and there goes X. So X looks like it actually did show signs of a peak formation. So unfortunately, let's see what happens. But yeah, do you see how now it peaked out at around $35? It's now, the EMA line is slowly pointing down. And I mean, it's still holding above the middle VWAP. And it's done this multiple times. Like I've traded, what was it that I was trading? Oh, Drip. I mean, Drip, when I traded the Drip on Friday and on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, it would hit a slight resistance. It would pull back, break the pattern for like, 1 or 2 minutes, and then it would confirm the, the uptrend pattern and make new highs. And it just, comes down to like being a little bit more patient. And I was trying to be very conservative when it came down to trading it. So we'll see what happens right now and see if it can continue its uptrend pattern. And if it can, great. If it can't, then we might get a little bit of a pullback. So something to follow up with. So Gush pushed top view up. Yep. So AXDX. Let's see that. So AXDX. Very low volume. Not something that I find very attractive. I do see the overall. Actually, the pattern itself. I really like that you brought this one up. The pattern itself, support at $22, resistance at $28. Keep a very close eye out for this SMA line as it's been acting as a resistance before. So as this thing is starting to push back up, that might act as a resistance. The only thing that I don't like about this one has to be the volume. I don't find the volume to be very attractive. The volume is very low. EMA line, it is pointing up. I would set your alerts for this thing to be on its way to make new highs above $24. But obviously the margin of profit can definitely be worth it. It's just the account size. My account, like my positions of taking, in my opinion, like a $20,000 position on this, it just wouldn't make a lot of sense, especially if I'm trying to get out. Like I could potentially move the price on myself when I'm trying to sell. So it's just not something that I would find too attractive. But I appreciate the call out. Oh, appreciate that, Kevin. Thank you. Okay, so that's actually a pretty good question. So, Ricky, I'm struggling to determine where you find support and resistance levels. How far back do you go? So, because we focus a lot on like swing trades, it's not even just that. I try to get a general understanding. It's support and resistance levels. You guys have to understand they're not like set price points. They're like psychological price points. So they're made up price points based off previous patterns on where these stocks or ETFs tend to bounce at. It doesn't actually mean that anything is set in stone. So with that understanding, something like AXDX. So seeing that, let me actually remove this. Let me see if I can. So remove drawing, and I'm going to remove this drawing as well. Okay, so we could see like right now there is no support, there is no resistance. So if I were to see something like this for AXDX, if I didn't see that, hey, it actually bounced at this price point, but I just saw that it was descending and that it was showing signs of a downward pattern, all I would look for was I would look far enough back to see if there's been any other previous price point on where it's been at around this area. And if we could see, yes, it was descending, ended up bouncing at around the $23 price point. Obviously, it did go below 23, but $23 is ideally like kind of where it tried to bounce. So with that understanding, I would kind of expect a bounce. But again, that's why confirmation is so important, because support and resistance are good kind of like are good indicators to be able to see. Or I think maybe $22 would be a better price point, right? And you can see, you can go far enough back where there was a lot of consolidation when it was trying to hold at above $22. So if you can draw a line at around $22, even before it bounces, you can, even as of right now, hey, it makes sense on why it bounced at 22. It makes sense on why it bounced at 22 based off previous patterns. Now it's on its way back up. Where would be an ideal resistance? Well, first of all, do you see that it previously bounced at here, right here? There's a lot of consolidation right around $26. It acted as a previous support. Again, old support levels become new resistance levels. I would draw a first resistance line there, and then do you see how it's peaked out here at around 20, at 30, around 30? So next resistance would be right around that price point, and then I would draw an overall line there. So now I just determined, based off previous patterns, two different margins, from 22 to 26, and then from 26 to 30. That doesn't mean that these are the only margins that I see. I mean, it's peaked out here at around $28 before, but it's just a general understanding when you're trying to get in a stock for a good buy. You want to make sure that you're getting in at a low price point within the margin for the overall resistance, right? So if this is the margin that you're trying to capitalize on, you want to make sure that you're closer to the support or closer to the bottom line than you are to the resistance. So I think like you just need to become a little bit more familiar with doing some technical analysis, looking a little bit further back, and being able to determine that, like, hey, looking at previous patterns, and not such exact price points. It's not even like it doesn't even matter. Like if you're like, I've seen some people say like, hey, I found a support at like 21.53, and it's just like I get that like you try to be like exact and stuff like that, but it just doesn't make sense to me on like, it's never going to bounce at exactly the same exact price point. And as long as you understand that, then I think it's just important to get a general understanding on where it might bounce, wait for the confirmation, and then you can take a position then. It's not the support that's important to me. It's when it confirms that support that it validates, hey, I did something right. Now it's confirming the support. I wait for the break above the EMA, and then I can, go up above that. Okay, so let me see. Quick, let me just follow up with this one. So it looks like it is getting potentially rejected. It looks like it might bounce right around that SMA line. So I think that's what someone said right now. High ICX hitting 36 to 36.50. Yeah, I mean, that definitely does make sense on this 180-day chart. Like if it ends up making new highs, it does have the potential to hit 36, maybe 36.50, maybe $37 if it can make new highs based on the previous highs that it made last time. But again, like right now, we're still actively trending down below the 180-day EMA, and I would really like to get that confirmation that we're actively trending up. And I mean, there's no question that like it's been like we're not right now, right? We keep getting rejected by $35. So that's why I have my alert set there. It looks like my alert did get triggered because yeah, it's no longer there at 35. So okay, so this is actually a pretty good question. Ricky, like wondering how you interpret DGAS and UGAS. They both look a little bit overextended. I mean, it's not even that, like, I'm not too worried about if they look overextended, one or the other. First of all, when one goes up, the other one goes down. So as long as we have that understanding, like there's always going to be one that has potential to make us money. Same thing with JDST and JNAG, right? When one goes up, the other one goes down. Same thing with Gush and Drip. When one goes up, the other one goes down. I've never seen a time though where they both go down. So with that understanding, hey, quick little call out. Gush is at $23. So this one's still trying to actively trend up. If it confirms, this could be a potential decent day trade opportunity from $23 to $24 if it continues that uptrend pattern. Make sure that you reference /CL as your future for this one. But for something like UGAS or DGAS, I would be more focused on, hey, which one's actively trending up, or which one's, so like right now, it's been a little bit different or more difficult for me to determine, like, hey, out of UGAS and DGAS, like if you guys have noticed, I haven't been trading those, like one of like those two tickers, like the natural gas ETFs, too aggressively, and it's just because the patterns have been a little bit different. It was pretty consistent when, you know, DGAS was showing signs of a descending pattern. It started to build a support right around the SMA line. It pushed up, and now it's just doing a lot of consolidation. I would like to wait a little bit more until it starts to really hold above $30, and then it continues to make new highs from there, which I think I would find a little bit more stable. But right now, it's just been showing a lot of volatility. It's kind of more of a horizontal pattern, like lows of 28, highs of 30, and it's almost more of a guessing game to me right now, and that's not something that I find very attractive. So right now I do see that DGAS is a little bit more in the overbought side. Do you see that? Like why I would consider that? So I would think like right around like the $31 to $32 price point tends to be a little bit more on the overbought side. $28 to maybe $27 tends to be a little bit more on the oversold side, so a potential better deal. And I just have to follow up with this one because right now it's a little bit too overextended for me, and I don't find that to be very attractive. Also, when it comes down to UGAS, so this specific ticker, this one's showing more of a descending pattern, so it continues to usually descend. So as long as you understand that, then that's why I like to trade DGAS a little bit better, or a little bit more, than I like to trade UGAS. Thoughts on MDR? Yeah, Gush appears to be selling off. Let's see. Yeah, so I think we should keep a very close eye out for Gush. I think Gush can offer a pretty decent intraday play. We just need to get that confirmation. That would be one of my, that would be something that I would keep a pretty decent eye out for. Also, ticker symbol X. Again, it's showing this ascending uptrend pattern. Just that the margin of profit isn't as great on X than it is probably on Gush. I feel like Gush is a little bit more relevant. Just that I already have a small position on Gush itself as of right now. So that's just something that, you know, I have to take into consideration, and I don't want to overwork myself, right? Let's just keep it simple, and we can see that X is definitely pushing up right now. So again, do you guys see this pattern? I don't care if like, I don't want you guys to take a position just because of me, but I want you guys to understand why is it that I saw value in this. Do you guys see this? Like, can you guys just confirm, like, yes, I saw the pattern that you were talking about? The SMA line acting as a support, the SMA line actively trending up, and it's showing this upward staircase pattern. I think that goes directly into favor with this overall ascending uptrend pattern, and how, you know, we're starting to move back up. So again, now we have some green candles rather than them all being red, and showing that, you know, all I want to see is, because of this ascending uptrend pattern, that there's some potential for this thing to actually start pushing up, break above the EMA, and then continue on its way to, you know, hit highs of around like 36 or overall $37. So if you guys can let me know in the chat if that's something that makes sense to you. Perfect. Yes, I understand the pattern. That's what I want to make sure that everyone understands. Not just, hey, I took a position on Gush, and because Ricky took one, I'm going to take one, but to understand the pattern. Because again, a lot of people have been asking me, hey, Ricky, why didn't you cut losses on DRIP? Oh, how many of you guys, be honest with me, how many? I remember the first day that I took my position, when I took my first like 40% position on DRIP on Thursday, a lot of people stop lossed out. And the following day, not only did I make a little bit over $1,300 profit, but I missed out on $2,000 profit. I could have closed the day at $3,500 profit. And I know a lot of you guys could have also made a lot of money. How many of you cut losses because of a percentage loss, and maybe because you went a little bit in too aggressively and didn't understand the pattern? Because if you cut losses on DRIP, there was never a break of pattern. It was still actively, you know, following the same pattern that it was before, right? Okay, so let me actually, because I want to make sure that we talk about this, because I don't want us to make the same mistake again. When it came down to the overall pattern that I saw when it sold off, it dropped below $12. It built a support right around like 1140, and it started to show signs of an uptrend pattern. And what I saw was that it started showing signs of an uptrend pattern, but it was continuously getting rejected. So let me actually do like the 5-day, 5-minute chart. I remember that we got in when it was still actively trending down. right on the middle VWAP and bottom VWAP. And I remember that some people got in, maybe they even got in at a better price point than I did, but it was still showing signs of a descending pattern, which I understand. But overall, we said that, hey, we want to make sure that it tries to hold at above 1150. And then even like later throughout the day, I saw people like start cutting losses because they're like, no, like it's just not something that I feel comfortable with, which I 100% support. But again, I talked about it from the very beginning that, hey, this is most likely going to end up because it's continuing to descend. I see a lot of potential in the overall margin of profit that it has to offer. So the opportunity cost for a swing trade is worth it for me. And that's why I saw potential for an overall swing trade potential, right, on this one. I ended up covering at 12.23, but then it ended up getting, pushing up past 13. So as long as you guys understand the overall pattern of what it is that you're trading, as long as the pattern is still valid, then that's what I want to make sure that we focus on. If you understand the pattern and what it is that you are trading, and you understand like the opportunity cost, then I think that that's a great starting point. So oh, I'm sorry, Mike. I think you did ask me to break something down, and MDR, I apologize. Let's see. So no, I actually think we talked about this one in the very morning. So no, I think it's still getting rejected, still actively trading down. EMA line is still pointing down. My alerts are set here around like 610. So let's just, I'm just going to follow up with this one. I don't find it to be too attractive right now. So Gush did get a nice little push up. And again, it's right in between that middle VWAP. We talked about it before. It's right in around the top VWAP as well. Watch out for the overall resistance right around 23.50, and then the following one is going to be around $24. But this is definitely going to be a little bit more of a slower moving play. You kind of have to understand the pattern on the big picture on this one, and that's the ascending uptrend pattern and the overall resistance that it has around $24, and how when it gets going, it tries to really get going. So if that makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't, then 100% please don't trade it. And I think the last thing is, JDST. JDST was showing signs of an uptrend pattern. I think it's still in favor of that, trading in between the middle VWAP and top VWAP. So we talked about X, we talked about JDST, we talked about what's it called, Gush, and those are the three ones that I think that I would like to focus on. Those are the ones that I'm watching today, and that's really just it for me. Is there any of you guys that are tuning in live that what's it called, that okay, so Brandon, thank you for calling that one out. So Oil U, I think that would, let's follow up with that one. Volume is very low, right? But this is an ETF, so it doesn't play that much of a role. I like that. Pretty solid ascending uptrend pattern. There's a lot of consolidation that's going on right now, showing signs of a potential reversal quite soon. So I'm just going to set an alert for when there's more of a solid break and it makes higher highs. So great call out. Let's make sure that we follow up with this one, and let's see how this one plays out. Thank you again. So for all those that see value in something as of right now, either for a swing trade or a day trade that you guys didn't need help with, but just now want to share it with those that are part of the Learn Plan Profit group, feel free to, even if you just want to share the ticker symbol, remember it has to actively be trending up, it has to offer a pretty decent margin of profit, and then there has to be a pattern that can be easily understood, or some reason on why we would see potential in it. So if you guys want to start sharing that, just so for those that are tuning in live can kind of like see all the stocks that are being called out, and then they can do their own due diligence on them as well. What's going on, Mike? No, don't apologize. You're doing great. Awesome, bro. Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Need to have nerves of steel sometimes. So he actually shared his story. He was like, I got in at $12 on Thursday, which is a little bit, like, relatively, that's a little bit high, right? If we're not mistaken. I mean, it dropped to lows of like 11.40. But I mean, and that's not even too much, but I mean, it's not even, I would say, too much of nerves of steel, but as long as you truly understand the pattern and you're confident in that, then I think that, making sure that the initial dollar value that you have invested isn't too aggressive, and you could add more as it continues to trend up, I think that could, play a huge role, or, can really help out when wanting to swing trade something. Okay, so I'm sorry about that, William. URA. It is showing signs of a slight uptrend pattern. Uh, Very low volume. Again, well, this is an ETF that is a global uranium ETF. Wow, I've never traded anything like this. SMA line is showing signs more of a descending pattern, and I don't know. The SMA line doesn't even act like as a resistance just because it's so far away. But all I can see is that it continues to make like lower highs. Do you see this? And I don't find that to be very attractive. It's like right now it pushed up and it's trying to bounce. So as long as we can get a bounce confirmation on the EMA line and it continues to trend up, then great. But based off previous patterns, when it does push up, it looks like it doesn't actually end up bouncing. So I just don't, I wouldn't find this one the most attractive out of all of them. I like that. I like that. CMA, what's going on, Donald? Let's see. So CMA is actively trading up. It's very close to that EMA line. I like that. So just not a lot of upward, like when it comes down to like upward movement and stuff like that, this is definitely a slower moving stock. Right now from $95 to like 100 offers about 5%. So I could see why this could be a pretty decent swing trade. It's just very slow moving. And it's not something that I find too attractive, but I could see that a lot of people, like if you're like really busy or don't want to miss out on an opportunity or like something that moves a little bit slower, then this could definitely be something that I would understand why people want to invest in. Keep a close eye out for the earnings that this thing is going to have on the 17th. What's going on? Is it Micah or Mika? Is that how I pronounce your name? Thank you again for tuning in live. I appreciate it. Tesla is having an update. Yeah, I haven't followed up with it today. So yeah, Tesla, I mean, I can't say that it's having a huge green day, right? There's just still a lot of consolidation that's happening from 300 to 310, which it's done before, especially on Friday. So it hasn't done anything different. It's just, again, consolidating, and the EMA line is catching up with it a little bit more, which is, something that we definitely want to see. All right, so ABEV. Okay, so ABEV is being called out. You can see that the SMA line has been acting as a support before or an overall resistance, so that's good. Right now, we don't have an overall confirmation that this thing is actually starting to actively trend up. So let's just set our alerts for there to be a potential reversal, and I think that could be pretty attractive. So if it does end up reversing, then great. We could follow this other pattern that it had. Overall volume was a little bit low, but not too low. So something to follow up with. There we go, SMA line back again, trying to act as a support. So I kind of like that. I mean, it's just taking a little bit longer than we wanted it to. So I mean, X isn't pushing as aggressively. I mean, it's never been one that pushes up very aggressively either. But do you see that it's showing more signs of like a longer like bull flag pattern? So again, overall resistance right around $35, and this is sending like SMA line, which is acting as a support. So you can see this SMA line acting as a support, so it's showing this like bull flag pattern, right? Because it's taken a little bit longer, I think the overall uptrend pattern is becoming a little bit more like relevant and concentrated, right? So it's a little bit more accurate, and I think eventually, because it's building up a lot of like demand and a lot of volume leading up to the overall resistance at $35, the potential for us to break above can be pretty high, but there could also be such a large expectation that we might end up getting rejected. But I like this ascending uptrend pattern that it's showing, and I mean it's still showing signs of this like bull flag pattern, which is nice to see. So MTCH, yeah, I did get an alert about that one this morning. So it was one that we did our technical analysis on last week, if I'm not mistaken. Overall resistance right around $47. SMA line, great. And yeah, it broke above the 180-day EMA, and that's where my alert went off. We could see the MACD indicator pointing up. So actually, I mean, this one's definitely actively trending up. And this is Match Groups. It's like, I believe, Match.com. It's that online like dating website. And it's actively trending up. It bounced on the SMA, which it's done multiple times before. It broke above the EMA, which is something that we were waiting for. Again, one-day confirmation doesn't mean everything, so there's nothing wrong with taking a step back and trying to get in closer to like $42 if it pulls back tomorrow. But as long as you understand the pattern and you understand the overall uptrend pattern of this SMA line being the support, and how it's been on its way to make higher highs, then I think that's what it's all about. So yeah, guys, I mean, I think that's it for today. Doesn't look like JNUG or any of these are moving too aggressively now. There's a lot of consolidation that's happening right now around the middle VWAP, so JDST should be around the middle VWAP. Okay. Do you guys see this double top right now around $55? So there should be a double bottom on JNUG. How is this trading? Yeah. So right now it's /GC showing more signs of an uptrend, which is in favor of JNUG. But again, it's hitting a slight resistance right around 13.38. And why is that important to know? Well, if you do this 20-day analysis, there's been this descending pattern, and you can see why it might get rejected there. But again, waiting for the overall confirmation is pretty important. So we'll just have to follow up with it. Roberto, you're so funny. Look what Roberto says. He says, hey, it's that website like you didn't know that's where you meet all your ASE shorties. No, that's not true at all. Man, you're so funny. He's talking about Match.com because Match.com is like an online dating website. But I thought Match.com was like for people that like they want to get married or something like that. So, but no. Why the 2 dislike, guys? These videos are gold. The funny thing about this is that, and I saw it on the previous video as well. There were 2 dislikes there. I don't know if people that are not part of Learn Plan Profit have access to it, or if people part of Learn Plan Profit just think it's funny and dislike the video. It really doesn't matter. But if you guys can give the video a thumbs up, great. I mean, it doesn't do anything because these videos are unlisted, so no one else can see them other than just the people within the Learn Plan Profit group. But yeah, I mean, if you guys didn't know already, so very quick for those that you know are new to the Learn Plan Profit group, we have the main chat, right? The announcement section is where I announce everything, and you guys might want to like scroll up because there's a lot of information that is shared here, and this is something that is explained in the course itself. Q&A section, please, only questions and answers should be put here. Group alerts is where, especially yesterday and today, where your top #1 picks should be shared. I saw that there was a lot of people sharing yesterday, but not everyone shared it. So I just want to make sure that if you guys haven't called out or planned your #1 pick for this week, this is where that has to be. Trade ideas, this is where I share some of my trades. So I'm going to be putting that Gush, JDST, and X are the ones that I'm watching today. Profits are, where we share our profits and our losses, right? Trade Olympics this is where we are receiving feedback. And then the morning live chat. What the heck? I didn't know people could actually message here. I'm going to have to erase these because people aren't supposed to be able to message here, because this is just where all these videos, like the video that I'm filming right now, when people like are at work and want to recap and watch this video, then they can just go here to like the morning chat library and watch the recaps and what we talked about. So I'm going to have to delete this. So just be sure if you guys can to not message here. I'll have to change the settings so no one even has the option. But yeah, I mean, that's really just it. Look at these fluid transitions now. Boom. I think that's pretty cool. So what is the best way to learn to plan on this program? So I really think it just comes down to, it could be as simple as just writing it down on a piece of paper, or you could use like, the Excel files or something like that. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. All I want you guys to understand is, like, before you guys take a position, to understand that it's a good deal, understand that it's actively trending up, and then why it is that you're taking the position, the opportunity cost, the margin of profit in comparison to the margin of loss. So having an understanding of that risk management. So, but yeah. Malon is saying, you got the transitions down. Nice, nice. Exactly, Daniel, and I think that's a very good point to make. So I've made videos talking about it, of like focusing on ascending uptrend patterns and horizontal patterns, and I think Daniel makes an excellent point on The thing that I don't like about descending patterns is that if you get in at the wrong point, there is a potential, and most likely a very common potential, right? It's just very common with descending patterns that the stock won't return to that price point, but on an ascending uptrend pattern, it will usually come back, and I 100% stand behind that. I just think when it comes down to the opportunity cost and the potential with ascending uptrend patterns and horizontal patterns, we have a much higher success rate. With descending patterns, yes, there is still margin of profit, but when you're just starting out, I don't find that to be a very attractive approach. Like, I can't tell anyone what to buy or what to sell or what patterns to focus on, but I'm just saying when you're first getting started, I just don't find that you'll find, I think, a lower success rate with trading those tickers. So just something like food for thought, right? Of course. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ah. No, it's Tesla just broke above $310. Wow, nice, nice. It definitely looks like it's pushing up in between the middle and top view up, and it's looking pretty aggressive. I like that. That's good. All right. There you go. A lot of consolidation happening there, and same thing happening here. Trying to show this uptrend pattern, but it's kind of struggling. So that is it, guys. We've been on this chat for about 1 hour. So thank you guys again for tuning in. If there's any more questions that you guys have, so I'm just gonna grab some breakfast real quick, and then I'm gonna get to responding to all the direct messages that I received last night and stuff like that. I know there's a couple that I have to catch up on. I tried to catch up on some rest, and it ended up not working out. I mean, I fell asleep at like 1, which was a little bit better than sleeping at like 2. But yeah, so as of now, I'm just gonna grab some breakfast. And then I'll catch up with any of the direct messages that you might have going on. I have all my alerts set for all the stocks that we're trading. So right now we see that ticker symbol X is right around 34.90. And yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty fluid day, nothing crazy, not a very strong or aggressive push on anything that I've been personally trading. So yeah, so for those that are asking what Trade Olympics is, it's that website. Right now it's currently closed because we're working on adding more brokerages to it. So right now, like, no one, I don't think, has access to it. But it's where it tracks your trades and automatically links your brokerage account. It tracks your trade, and you can see like where you stand within the overall trading community for Trade Olympics. So it puts you like at a certain tier, and it tells you, hey, you're 10th trader out of 1,000 or something like that. Or within your area, you could see local traders around you. So it's this program that me and Mackenzie were actually working on, but we just took a step back just because we wanted to add more brokerages such as like TD Ameritrade, U-Trade, E-Trade and stuff like that. So thank you guys again for your time. I hope that you guys all have an amazing rest of your Monday. And like always, guys, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.